What's up, everybody? Michael LaFido. Happy Tuesday. Here we are, April 8th. It's hard to believe, but we're already in the second quarter, and I want to share with you guys a couple things today. It's been a while since we've done a live stream, and I wanted to cover a bunch of things today. Everything from tariffs, and how these current tariffs might affect the real estate market. I've been asked several questions over the last several days from clients and prospects or people at the gym. And I thought, you know what? People are asking all these questions. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. Nobody exactly can give you a definitive answer. So let's why don't we go ahead and try to get these answers. So that's what we're doing. Um, and that's what we're covering today. So we might have some guests jump on at some point, and if you guys have any questions, no matter where you're watching this, please type in the chat feature. Just if you're driving, be careful, of course, but you can type in the chat feature. You don't have to download anything, and we're going to be covering a bunch of items here today, and we're actually going to go live on Instagram as well. So give us a second as we go live on Instagram, and we're looking forward to being a resource for you. So we are about to go live here on Instagram as well. Here we go, live. Boom. All right. So coming to you, here we are, April. We are in the prime season here. We are in the prime season. You know, in the Chicagoland market, if you were to say, hey, Mike, what are the 3, maybe 4 months where there's more transactions than any other month or months in the calendar? Every market's different, so in the South or the East or the West or different parts of the world, their prime season's different. But in the Chicagoland market, the prime season is April, May, and June. Those are the 3 prime months to buy or sell a home. And we are right now in that prime season. As I mentioned, it's hard to believe it's already April. So if you guys have any questions, by all means, feel free to type them in. And or if you want to jump on the live stream, I'll be happy to share with you in the chat feature as well a link that you can literally jump on the live stream on camera. And I'm going to share that link here. You'll see that come across the comment section. We've already so in the comments section, you'll see a link, and that you just copy and paste that. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please ask them. So let's get right into things. Let's talk about tariffs. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and there's a lot of worry. People are worried. Some people's stock portfolio have decreased 10-20% over the last 5 days. Yesterday was not a Black Monday like many thought. So that was good news. And we're seeing the market, we're seeing the futures fairly positive. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to give you financial advice when it comes to stock market. But just going over the stocks, I do get asked a lot of times, hey, Mike, what do you think? My parents are getting older. Should they pull things out of the market? Well, if you recall back in the COVID days 5 years ago, there were some people that panicked and they pulled the stock out. They liquidated their assets, and at the end, the market boomed afterwards. And if they didn't time things properly, they would have lost even more money. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. Talk to your financial advisor. Some people, of course, are a little bit older and are on a fixed income, and it affects them a lot more depending on where you're at. So diversification is key with your investments. Again, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And real estate tends to be a safe long-term investment. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a pretty cool graph that breaks down housing prices over the last 75 years, if they've appreciated, depreciated. What I can tell you, over the last 75 years, there's only been 7 years where home prices went down, and 1 year there was no change. But 67 out of the last 75 years, home prices went up in some capacity. The average was just under 5% home appreciation. So I'm going to be covering that a little bit today. We're also going to be talking about buying or selling a home right now, the pros and cons, not just because we're in the prime season, but also based on the tariffs. If you're building a home, will these tariffs potentially affect new construction cost or a big remodel? Could they affect remodel if you're doing a big renovation? And we're going to be covering that. And then we also have some examples on why it's better to be proactive even in a seller's market. So in the market, in the Chicagoland market we're in, we're still overall in what we call a seller's market. There's a lot more demand than there is supply, although we are seeing more supply today in the last 30 days. But overall, we are still below the pre-pandemic number of homes on the market. Now, that's not the case in many markets. So if you're looking at some of the hot markets over the pandemic, where people fled to, i.e. Tennessee, Florida, Arizona, the Carolinas, those markets have more homes on the market today than they did before the pandemic. There are some price changes. You're seeing some people, get frustrated because their homes aren't selling as much. So you are seeing some depreciation. Home prices have gone down in some areas 5, 10, 15, 20% over the last versus where they were the last few years. Well, in the Chicagoland market or some markets that really didn't peak and go up 20, 30, 40%, again, we are still seeing a shortage of supply. And so home prices are going up a little bit more. Again, Michael LaFido here, first live stream here in a little bit. We're going to talking about the tariffs and what are they doing to the housing market, or what do we think they're going to do to the housing market? Just a reminder, if you have a question and you want to jump on the live stream, you can literally copy and paste this. For those of you that are watching on Instagram, you can type in your message and I'll answer that as well. All right, so let's get to the first question that I have for you. And this is one, literally somebody asked me while I was working out yesterday. And that question is, how will the tariffs, and I'm typing it out real quick as well, affect the luxury real estate market? So, of course, this can be applied to all price points. But this was a question that somebody asked me yesterday to start my day, first thing on a Monday morning. Hey, Larry from Arizona. Larry, good to see you. Larry, as always, we got to come back to Arizona. Larry attended our LUXE Designation training last year in Scottsdale, and we toured a pretty cool property. I hope you guys are doing well down there. Larry, just note that the market is tough in many markets, so keep plugging away, building relationships, letting people know what you do for a living. Don't be discouraged. Work open houses, and I hope all is well, Larry. All right, so this was a question somebody posed to me yesterday. How will the tariffs affect the luxury real estate market? And although I'm going to talk about luxury, but I'm going to talk about all price points as well, because I do think all markets will be potentially affected if people are really heavy in the stock market and they're looking to buy, immediately. Then there might be some issues. And just a reminder, I believe that there's 5 price points, no matter what market you're in. I believe that there's 5 price points, and I'm going to share with you what those 5 price points are. Just a reminder, if you are watching in the East Coast, West Coast, the north suburbs of Chicago, the west suburbs, downtown, I believe that there's 5 price points in most market. I call them buckets. So bucket number 2 is the average price point. So the average price point is different in the town I live in, Wheaton. It's different than Naperville, different than Hinsdale, Oak Brook, Winnetka, different than some neighborhoods in Chicago. So bucket 2 is I always recommend you start with bucket 2 when trying to figure out the price points for your given market. Below that is starter or entry level. Bucket 3 is what we call a high-end property. We define a high-end property as a home or condo or townhouse that's 2 times the average sale price for your market. Bucket 4 is luxury. We define a luxury property as 3 times the average sale price for that given market based on the average. Okay. And then bucket 5 is ultra luxury. So, how will tariffs affect homes in each of these price points? I believe tariffs potentially could affect real estate in each of these 5 price points if you have to pull a lot of money from your stock portfolio to make a purchase. That's where people might hit the pause for a little bit because the market's fluctuated over the last 5 days. But if you have diversification in your portfolio and you're not heavy on just maybe certain stocks, but you also have some CDs and some money, liquid assets in your bank account, and then I don't feel the real estate market's going to be affected that much. Now, again, certain older, people that are on fixed income, they might be a little bit more hesitant if they're looking to buying a lake house or buying a secondary property. They might be a little bit hesitant over the next, weeks or months, hopefully weeks or just days where there's some volatility. And there's many countries right now that are already negotiating. Europe announced yesterday that they're not going to they want to play with the United States in a good way. So I do think you're going to see some countries come to the table. We're already seeing that right now. So we'll see. We'll see. But consumer confidence right now, there's some uncertainty, but there's going to be a lot of people that make a lot of money over the next couple days or weeks. So seek your financial advisor on what you should do. I was talking to a financial advisor yesterday, and his phone was going off the hook during his spring break last week as all of this was going down. We were actually in Washington, D.C., getting a tour of the Capitol, thanks to Senator Mike Rounds from South Dakota. We were getting a private tour of the Capitol last Wednesday when President Trump was announcing these tariffs on the South Lawn at the White House, literally a half a mile down the way on Constitution Way and Pennsylvania Avenue. It was pretty great experience. I highly recommend it, that you go to tour DC. And we actually went to the daytime tours as well, but we toured via those Lime scooters in the evening. My son and I toured the Lincoln Memorial as well as the Capitol, as well as other significant, including the South Korean War Memorial, at around 11 p.m. at night via scooter. There were no lines. It was really cool. I recommend that. But with that being said, these tariffs could potentially affect consumer confidence, as you know, and if buyers or sellers are really heavy on the market and they're looking to make a move now, they might hit the pause button for some time for sure. So that's what I'm seeing on the tariff side. Would welcome any feedback, what you're seeing, what part of the country you're watching from, and what you're seeing on your side. Again, we'd welcome that, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or even on some other platform as well, on Instagram. Okay, so my next point I want to talk a little bit about is stock market. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but many experts will tell you, don't panic, don't pull all your stocks out. There's financial repercussions, potentially tax ramifications, but also lower ebbs and flow. And we've seen markets bounce back after some turbulence like we saw over the past 5 days or so. All right. I want to share with you a really cool graph. So I'm going to stop sharing with you right now this graph. And I have another one that I wanted to share with you. And this was the one that, and by the way, we have a big announcement today as well. We're celebrating our 9-year anniversary. Many of you know I'm the founder of the LUXE Designation. 9 years ago, we launched a course. And over the past 9 days, we've been making announcements where our most memorable locations have been anywhere from Boston to Toronto to Nashville to Texas, Fredericksburg, Texas, to Dallas, Texas, where we launched our course, also Medina here, which is a golf course in Chicago, to Scottsdale. And today on the live stream, I'm going to be announcing our second. Cabo, Mexico was second, and I'm going to be announcing our most memorable location so far over the past 9 years that we've launched this course. And if you want more information on our course, feel free to reach out. Next week, I'm going to be in Miami teaching the class at the Miami Association headquarters. Miami Realtors, they have over 50,000 agents in their association. It's the largest association in the country. And we got somebody, I have no idea. We got somebody calling me there. Disregard that. I'm going to hit there. And that was a lead coming in, which we'll have to follow up with, right? So that was somebody calling our business line. And so that's going to be really important for you guys, is to understand, if you're a realtor, understand the benefits your local association brings to you. But Miami Realtors is number one in the United States as far as members. Number two is Houston Association of Realtors, which coincidentally, we're going to be down there on May 6th teaching our course. The largest association in the world is the Toronto Association of Realtors, and we've been asked to speak at their big Quest conference coming up middle of May. So stay tuned for more information on that. But we wrote a book last year. It hit bestseller in 6 categories: Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. It's geared towards real estate agents, but there are bonus sections at the end of each chapter. We have 26 top agents, brand agnostic. We have all brokerages represented. And we put together 212 tips for homeowners that are thinking about selling, and 118 tips for buyers that are looking to buy a home. We compiled this in the book. If you are a consumer, somebody that owns a home or buying a home, selling a home, and you'd like to get those tips, feel free to reach out, shoot me an email, and we'll make sure we get those over to you. Okay, I'll put my email address on the screen right now: Michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, Michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. Feel free to reach out and be happy to get those over to you. Again, 212 tips for homeowners thinking about selling, what they should look for in a top agent, and 118 tips for buyers. You know, right now, post August 17th, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So if you're looking to buy a home, no matter what state you live in, no matter what broker the real estate agent is with in the state of Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, all 50 states, if you want to see a home after August 17th, so 9 months ago, this came into effect, you need a written agreement with an agent to see any home that's for sale. In that written agreement, it could be a one-time showing. In other words, there's a contract for a one-time showing, or there's a length of time, or it could be for one property. What their fee, what they would get compensated, what that agent is asking to be compensated for, has to be written down. So you as a buyer potentially would have to pay that if the seller is not willing to. So just a reminder, you need a written agreement to see a home. The exception to the rule is open houses. Again, in all 50 states, you don't need to have a written agreement to go through an open house, but to see a home privately, you do. Okay. So just a reminder, there's still a lot of misconceptions about that today. I had somebody recently reach out to me, and they were basically going to go straight to all the listing agents. They felt like they could negotiate on their behalf, which of course you could, but they're leaving a lot of opportunities on the table, because in my market, in the Chicagoland market, about 1/3 of the homes that are selling are private or off-market sales. So if you are in the Chicagoland market and you want access to off-market properties, reach out. We'd be happy to set you up and give you access to these off-market properties. All right, getting back to buying and selling, it's still a great time. I want to share with you this graph, never seen in this exact style, because we created it. Again, I have a guy that does some amazing artwork for me, and this is something I wanted to share with you right here. I know it's hard to read, so I'm going to take my sharing this. I literally have had the over the past few years. Let me see why this is so small here. Let me get this a little bit bigger. Picture's messing up here. There we go. There we go. Over the past few weeks, I've had a couple appointments with homeowners that are interviewing me, and they're trying to figure out what their home is worth. Should they sell? Should they stay? Should they invest money? And again, I've had some sellers contact me after the fact, after they put leaf guards on, after they invested money in things that won't return a net investment. I literally had somebody yesterday reach out saying they're thinking about putting the solar panels on their roof. And hey, is that a safe investment? And my response is it could be, but make sure you don't affect curb appeal. Sometimes the solar panel companies, depending on if your house faces south, north, east, or west, that's going to determine where there's more sunlight. That could determine curb appeal, and that could negatively affect your resale. So again, if all real estate questions, feel free to reach out, shoot me a call, shoot me a text, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. But I have had two owners. I want to share with you two case study success stories. One is in Lombard. Lombard is a suburb of Chicago. We put a home on the private network under for $359,000, and we were strategic with this particular deal. They were finishing up some painting, some cleaning. I wanted to create some urgency. We put it in the private network on a Friday. We said no showings until the following Friday because we're getting professional photos. And of course, we've had a couple agents reach out, say, I have a hot to trot buyer, and can we get in before Friday? I ran it by my clients. They said yes. We had somebody come in last Wednesday. They put an offer above asking, clean as is, could close immediately. The sellers say, what do we do? I went over the pros and the cons. We had two other showings. I let the people know. And ultimately, the sellers accepted the deal. We put a deal on there, but they weren't afraid to make some small investments. They went with our painter. The painter painted the first floor, did some touch-ups on some baseboards, painted the lower level, painted the front stoops. First impressions are huge. Additionally, we're about to put another home on the market in Wheaton, an old high school football teammate of mine. I sat down with six of their family members. I was up against an agent who lives across the street. She's notorious for lowballing, leaving money on the table. She suggested $595. Literally, I think they're going to leave $50,000 on the table or more if they went with that price. So it pays to work with somebody that thinks outside the box, that's aggressive. All right. Can you hear me? Joe, can you hear me? All right, perfect. Somebody said they lost sound, but I think they have an issue on their end because Joe can hear me. Everybody, if you can hear me, just type in no matter where you're listening from. Let me know you can hear me. One person said they lost sound, but I think we're all good right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on a lender partner of ours. And before I bring on Joe, if you are in a situation as a homeowner or a real estate agent where you have clients or you're a homeowner and you want to buy something, but you don't want to put your home on the market first, but you need some maybe equity out of your home, or you prefer not to own two homes, if you will. If that situation is a scenario that you're in, I want to bring on a good friend of mine that they specialize in buy now, sell later. And so we're going to talk about that situation. If that is again, I have several people that are in that situation that they want to put their home on the market, but they know it will sell right away, and they don't want to sell right away because they haven't found something. So if you are interested in buying now and selling later, well, this might be a good situation. I'm going to bring on my good friend in Plainfield, Illinois, over here, Joseph. Joseph, how you doing today?
There we go. I got my mic
There
up.
we go.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure listening to the show here today. I've been around for about 30 years in this industry, but I tell you, every time I listen to you, I learn something new. So things are going great, and glad to be here with you.
Well, I appreciate it. And again, you guys can type in your questions for me or Joe in the comment. But right now, Joe, we want to talk a little bit about, some people know about reverse mortgages, but there's alternatives out there. A lot of people think about reverse mortgages for older people where they're pulling out equity. And then, of course, you have home equity lines of credit where if you own a home for 500 grand and you only owe 100 grand, you have 400,000 in debt equity. How can you use that equity? Many times people do a 60, 70% LTV where maybe 70% of that 400 grand, or in this case, 280,000, they can get a loan on, and that could give them purchasing power. But there's some limitations with that, and there's some time involved. Talk to me a little bit about you and how long you've been in the business. But let's get right into, after that, the buy now, sell later option.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Joe Legilia, Oakleaf Community Mortgage, powered by North Shore Trust and Savings. Almost coming up on 30 years in this industry. A lot of ups and downs, but this moment in history is really unique. And I think that, as you've shared on the show today, this unique moment of real estate and finance requires unique solutions. And so, something that we've come up with, North Shore Trust and Savings, 105-year-old institution, very well capitalized. About 3-4 years ago, we saw the supply and demand issue that a lot of people that are watching this are feeling. They have a ton of equity in their home. They've built a great home equity position in the one that they have today. But fortunately, unfortunately, a lot of their wealth is tied up in that equity. And so, to be a serious buyer in today's market, they need that equity in order to put down on that next property that they want to buy for the next chapter of life. And so, a few years back, we recognized this moment in history, had a lot of great borrowers, good credit, good income, good assets, good everything, but they were contingent. They were contingent on having to sell their current home in order to buy, whether that's an upside, downside, change in states, whatever the case may be. And so we answered the call with this very unique loan product called Buy Now, Sell Later. Nothing like it in the industry, nothing like it out in the market. And essentially what it is, it's not a bridge loan, which is a good thing. It is no prepayment penalties, no handcuffs that you have to be in it in a certain amount of time, no window to where if your current home doesn't sell, the bank's going to come take it for you. None of that bad stuff. What we did was we created a 100% loan that allows that next home to be financed completely, and we finance all of the closing costs associated with that new purchase. Now, what's great about this is this: the only out-of-pocket expense is for the appraisal on the home that the client's buying, which is standard procedure, and an appraisal on their current home, which that appraisal on their current home gives us the confidence to do 100% financing on their next house, realizing the equity position that they currently hold. Now, Mike, when I tell you that we finance everything to the point to where most clients get their earnest money back at closing, since we are literally financing all of it. And the beauty of this is that now clients have the freedom to move to this next home at their leisure, which means they can move the furniture and all the 30 years of memories out at their pace, at their timeline. But it also gives them the strength of that offer to where they're not stuck telling that seller that they have to be contingent and possibly paying more for that property because of it. So when we rolled this out a few years back, Mike, I can't tell you, it was for specifically the people out in the market that were just not getting their offers looked at because they were contingent. What we didn't realize is that there's so many more use cases for this. The baby boomers that are moving to their last home that they've lived in, that the one they currently live in, that they've lived in for decades, they wanted the flexibility of not being pressured to have a 30-day sale and get all of their stuff out of their house that they've lived in for decades. And so the financial planners of Chicagoland, Mike, have really supported us to be able to help those next people not have to drain their investments or retirement funds to buy cash and leverage this product to make that next move, possibly that final move. But it's really taken Chicagoland and certainly the Midwest by storm. And we're licensed across the country, of course, but couldn't be happier to talk to your clients today as we enter this spring market, which we see just as much of a fever as far as supply and demand and how much this product is going to be needed.
Well, that's a good point. So let me step back and just break things down for you here. So I have a client right now. They're selling a $900,000 home, and they're it's a divorce situation. They're looking at purchasing something about half the cost. And we looked at some properties, and we didn't look at others because the listing agent says, listen, they're not going to consider a house to close contingency. We're already under contract. We're past, the inspection, but there's still risk to the sellers versus a clean buyer that doesn't have anything to sell or anything to close. So, Joe, this program gives you a lot more leverage. It's a lot cleaner. It's going to save buyers money because you'll get, most sellers don't just choose an offer based on price alone, but also terms. And so the cleaner the terms are, I've had sellers take less offers on take a lower offer because the terms are better. Okay. So again, this program will help buyers not just have better leverage, but also get a better deal. And it gives them the second benefit, like you said, is they can buy the property, fix it up, and then move in while all the work is being done, and then clean up their current home and move everything over, or put it on while they still live there because it's staged, or however they want. But it gives them flexibility, it gives them leverage, which is huge. So talk to me about what the turnaround time is. In other words, if somebody's interested in this program, literally, what does that look like? How long before they get the appraisals done? How long before you say, hey, you're good to go up to X, so that they can literally start putting an offer in on properties?
Yeah, absolutely. And great segue for me, Mike, because really what makes this different is what you shared regarding how this loan is structured. So it's a true 30-year amortization loan, which is beneficial to the clients. It's a below prime rate. The bank, realizing this is short-term funding, because once Mike goes ahead and sells their current home, then we're customizing that exit strategy loan, 30-year fixed, what have you, to be able to leverage those proceeds off of the sale, as Mike would be able to then sell for top dollar because there is no contingencies. And we're customizing that 30-year fix after they sell. So this is a true 30-year mortgage that they're receiving with a below prime interest rate. Now, what's interesting about it is that nothing changes as far as the turn time and the contracts and the ability to be able to still offer a competing timeline for closing. So if the timeline was the 30-day contract, this program allows you to do a 30-day contract. We've certainly closed them in less time, but this, as you said, Mike, very eloquently, this gives the power back to the buyer who thought that they were not able to have the strongest offer at the table. We're realizing, Mike, that we're opening up markets for people who feel disenfranchised or frustrated because maybe they had an experience a year ago or 2 years ago to where they had none of their offers accepted contingent, and this opens up the possibilities to them. But it's an exciting product because from the seller standpoint, from the buyer standpoint, from the agents, from the attorneys, this is a regular transaction. We're just simply financing all of it, making them non-contingent, and allowing them to move forward with the next chapter of life.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Well, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comments section. And Joe, would you mind typing in your information if they have any further questions into the comments section? I greatly appreciate it. This has
Absolutely.
been very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I'll say is, birds of a feather flock together. And what I mean by that is oftentimes many people in subdivisions or neighborhoods, they're kind of in the same track of life. So if you hear this information, and this sounds relevant to you, share it with your neighbor, share it with your coworkers. Mike is certainly here trying to be the voice for the people. And this product is something that we're very passionate about because it's truly helping people. It's adding value to the market. It's creating inventory in a market that has none. And certainly as a community lender, we're here to give a little bit more of a personalized experience, and just excited to be a part of your platform, Mike. Really honored to be here today.
Well, I appreciate your flexibility. Literally, we put this thing together yesterday afternoon. I said, you know what? I'm getting so many people asking these questions, which is great. So you guys do Arizona as well, correct?
We do, yeah, licensed across the country, which is great because certainly we hate to see people leave, but there's many leave in Illinois, so we're here to help them
Good.
too.
Yeah, Larry Rubino, who has our LUXE designation, guy's hungry. He asked great questions. He's well connected. Larry asked if you're in Arizona. So yeah, Larry, they're licensed there. So feel free to reach out. And I greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna put Joseph's email on the screen here in a second, guys, so you guys can reach out to him with any additional questions. I'm just typing it in right now as we speak. And Joe, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to put this on here now so everybody can see it. Uh, Joseph L at myoakleaf.com is the best email form. Any questions, directly send those to Joseph L at myoakleaf.com. Joseph, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Hey, feel free to stick around. We got a big reveal here. We're counting down the top 9 locations for our designations over the past, what are we looking at here, guys? 9 years, right? We launched our LUXE designation 9 years ago, and we are about to reveal the 9th out of the top 9, the number 1 most memorable location. We're looking to add to these. So if you're a broker owner, if you're a team leader, we're looking at coming back to Chicago. It's been a few years. Bring it back to my hometown. Next week, I'll be in Miami teaching this class. Our course is approved for CE in Florida, and it's approved for CE in Texas, and we're getting it approved in other states as we speak. But I'm going to bring up here, let me see. I'm going to bring up the website for Miami. It's just luxurydesignation.com/Miami. That is our course. We're 6 days, 16 hours away. If you're interested, I'm not a financial tax guy, but I believe it's a write-off. Okay, write it off. Come down to Miami, and it is luxurydesignation.com/Miami. There are 3 scenes here, and I'm kind of tipping my cap a little bit, so I'm not going to say any more. But this was Scottsdale last year. Where's Larry? Larry Rubino somewhere in this picture, and then we did Scottsdale. So all the details can be found. There's here on the website. Take a look at it. There's Larry right there, and I am going to be announcing our top location here, guys. And without further ado, I got to give you a little background on this. This was an absolute amazing location that we hosted our event. It would have been going on almost 4 years ago now. Man, does it go quick. And we hosted our event at a winery. We had a billionaire speak at our event. We had the CEO of Aria, the president of 2021 Aria, speak at that. We had the founder, CEO of the Alliance, my friend Ryan, speak at it, and we had Glenn Sanford speak at it as well. And without further ado, I want to share with you our top location. Let me see here. Stop screen. Here we go. It is, drum roll, please. The top location that we've had thus far is in Napa, Florida, at AXR Winery. We actually held my training at a winery. We did a wine tasting afterwards. The next day we toured an $18 million and $16 million property. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. My good friend Noelle from Minnesota, it was actually her second designation. She had such a great time there, so she attended another one after. So again, next week we're going to be in Miami and then Houston to start off May. If you guys are interested in hosting, please reach out. Again, guys, you guys have been an amazing audience. I hope this has been helpful to you today on the tariffs, getting all things answered. Again, nobody's got a crystal ball, but I hope this is helpful. And yes, from the Woodlands. Yes, I love the Woodlands. Come on down. Houston Association of Realtors is hosting. Go to luxurydesignation.com/Houston for more information on our May 6th event. May 6th. And until now, you guys, hopefully we'll see some of you at our Miami event. Guys, make it a great day. And until next time, appreciate everybody's time. Take care. Thanks, guys.